Hi, this is Bill Black, Government Relations Attorney for the Minnesota Municipal Utilities Association. On behalf of Kent Sulam, MMUA's Director of Government Relations and Senior Counsel, and myself, welcome to this video. What you're watching is MMUA's latest update for municipal utility personnel, city council members, and local utility commissioners. Our goal is to make the legislative process easier to understand, to call out its impact on municipal utilities, and let you know how you can be part of the process. Back in December, the MMUA Board of Directors identified priority issues for the 2026 regular session of the Minnesota State Legislature, which will convene at noon on Tuesday, February 17, 2026. Before the board identified the issues, MMUA used an open process to get input from its municipal utility members, the joint action agencies serving them, and other policy advisors regarding what our priorities should be. You can check out our last video for an in-depth explanation of how that works. This year, the open process yielded 19 issues for the Board of Directors to debate and prioritize. Each of the 12 MMUA board members was asked to review the list and to assign a score indicating how important the issue seemed to them. The board scorecards were collected by staff prior to the start of the December 9, 2025 board meeting. The average score for each issue was then calculated, and each issue was assigned a preliminary ranking. The Board of Directors then discussed the issues and rankings, made some minor changes, and then voted to approve the list of issues, with priority to be given to the top 5 issues. The board also gave us, your government relations team, some additional guidance related to how we should represent municipal utilities' interests in certain areas. After all this lead-up, I bet you are ready to hear about the issues. So here we go. The top 5 legislative issues identified by the MMUA Board of Directors for the 2026 legislative session are: Number 1, no third-party sales. We will continue to oppose efforts that would give third parties that are not regulated utilities the authority to sell power to customers of a regulated utility. At least one solar developer has shared its desire to sell electricity directly to consumers. Number 2, right of first refusal. We will explore modifications to the right of first refusal laws governing ownership interests in new transmission. Usually referred to by its acronym, ROFR, members have expressed a desire to find a more equitable basis for municipal utilities to invest in transmission expansion and enhancement. Concern has arisen that current ROFR protections may not extend as far as originally thought, and thus alternatives need to be identified, vetted, and legislatively adopted. Number 3, PFAS mitigation. MMUA will support PFAS mitigation efforts that help with expenses, and which, at most, treat utilities as conduits of PFAS rather than sources of these forever chemicals. PFAS is an ever-growing concern. Dealing with them will be expensive, and a lot of finger-pointing can be expected. Municipal utilities will have a role to play in returning our waters to safe levels, but municipals should not be punished for having had to accept contaminated waste byproducts from others. Number 4, reform net metering statutes. Solar development continues to grow in Minnesota, and many customers have added solar systems to their homes and businesses. Some do it for environmental reasons, and others do it to save or make money. The trouble is that Minnesota's current law unfairly shifts cost burdens from some of these solar customers to customers that do not have solar systems, either because they cannot afford one or because their living situation does not allow them to put one in. The current law also encourages overbuilt systems. MMUA hopes to build on efforts begun during the 2025 regular session to make the net metering law fairer for everyone. Number 5, support for an all-of-the-above approach to achieving carbon-free power by 2040. To do this, MMUA will support repealing Minnesota's nuclear moratorium so that utilities and their partners can explore options for future electrical generation. We will also support biomass being recognized as an acceptable fuel source for the purpose of satisfying the 2040 carbon-free mandate. In addition to these top 5 priorities, MMUA will pursue other issues that ranked lower than the top 5 as opportunities arise. MMUA hopes that one such bill will be a bonding bill. Historically, the even-numbered year of a legislative biennium was considered the bonding year because the state's budget had been approved in the preceding odd-numbered year. Unfortunately, in more recent times, bonding bills have been difficult to pass in either year of the biennium. While MMUA cannot work on a specific request from an individual utility, it does support a sizable bonding bill. We will be looking for a measure that is sufficient to fund both the requests coming directly from municipalities and their utilities and able to support programs like the Public Facilities Authority. The PFA provides important grants that help fund utility projects. Inevitably, there will also be bills introduced seeking enactment of measures opposed by MMUA. When that happens, Kent and I will spend considerable time to keep them from becoming law. That's what we do in St. Paul: advocate for things that are favorable to municipal utilities and play defense on things that would be detrimental. Although the 2026 legislative session is considered a short session due to the February start date, it is bound to be busy right up until its adjournment. By law, that must occur no later than May 18th. To keep informed on what is happening at the Capitol, keep an eye on The Resource and watch for the Capitol Letter, which is MMUA's dedicated weekly newsletter printed during the legislative session. Utility staff and leadership, local utility commissioners, and others working on behalf of municipal utilities are also eligible to volunteer for the Government Relations Advisory Group, the GRAG, and to be part of weekly virtual meetings starting at 10 o'clock a.m. most Friday mornings during the legislative session. That is where we bring you the most up-to-date information about the session and ask for your input on issues as they emerge. The feedback we get from GRAG members is invaluable to us as we advocate for your utility in St. Paul. Finally, registration is open for MMUA's legislative conference being held March 24 and 25 at the Drury Inn in downtown St. Paul. We encourage you to join us for speakers who will bring us essential information and coordinated visits to legislators regarding utility issues. Please visit MMUA's website, mmua.org, for details. And never forget, what happens in St. Paul affects us all. Thank you for watching.